So everybody, you asked for it. Here we are in English talking about legal aspects to launch that, finally launch that e-commerce business, or you already have it, but you're copy pasting your legals is not the way. So we want to show you the way in a friendly manner, drinking really nice coffee and drinking again Americano from Colombia. And I'm in Colombia, in Bogota, Colombia. And we're going to talk about this whole thing from A to Z, including all the hacks and tips with our legal expert, who's also really into entrepreneurship and helping startups. So please feel free to join with the questions. Por favor, we need to do it in a way that is interactive. Not only me and Catalina speaking. I want to welcome Catalina and introduce you to this amazing expert and the agenda for today. Chin Chin.
Chin Chin, hello.
Hey, Catalina,
Maria.
here we are again.
How are you? Thank you for this invitation in English. Perfect.
So amazing that we can do it in both languages. Have I told you that our experts are like, we have over 40 experts and we're like covering 10 different languages. And, all of them also speak English. So we can always switch, right? We can always switch.
Right. That's great. That's great. So interesting.
Yeah. So Catalina, also Colombian, yeah?
Yeah.
Also in Colombia, but she's in Medellin. Cool city.
Yeah.
Cool city. You need to come to Medellin.
Yeah. Everyone's invited. You could come.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's welcome. So, Catalina, tell us a little bit about yourself first. What is your experience in legal and also working with startups and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I started working with startups like 5 years ago more. I love business, so I have an MBA and I'm very interested in all the legal side. I live here in Medellin and I advise all the startups since the beginning when they have like an idea, they're validating, they're applying like lean startup methodologies. And when they also incorporate the business and develop agreements and everything, and also doing and drafting terms and conditions and privacy policy for e-commerce, web pages, websites, apps, everything.
Amazing. So you're the right person to talk about today. Boom. Yeah. And I really like that your approach is the same like we have. Just to give you an overview, everybody, every time that we work with an expert, we make sure that this person is not only knowing or knowledgeable about what you're talking about. So you have the expertise that is a check, but the way that you simplify language, and your knowledge in a way that people get you, like your grandma should get it, your kid should get it. That's what we want to focus on. So the idea is that there's no stupid questions, there are no stupid, topics, and we want to cover everything. And legal, as we said before in Spanish, is one of those tough areas that people think about small letters, about the fact that it's complicated and that it's tricky, and you pay a lot of money to these lawyers, that they are like dark people, it has a bad reputation.
Yeah,
and
I know.
It's so nice. And I say, how come people, like, how does it feel to wake up as Catalina every day? Thinking that people are like, oh my God, this lawyer is going to just tell me some things that I don't get, or make these long documents that I'm like, oh my God, who's going to check that and just sign it or something, like,
Yeah, I know. So that's why we have to talk simple words, everything very easy, like very straightforward, because I think that's the magic also to have a good business and have everything like smooth. And it's having all these documents very simple, very clear, knowing. So one of the things that we suggest is that the entrepreneur or the manager of the company has to understand everything that he signs and that he agrees. So that's why it has to come in very simple language.
And many times you have these documents as business owners that you're like, what is this meaning? And it's like, oh, I trust my lawyer, It can't be. Like, you trust your lawyer because he's so cool, like Catalina, but we don't know what we're signing. It can't be. Same, it's transferring to our clients. We cannot tell our clients, just sign it because you like me. And because we have a relationship.
Because I'm the lawyer, but I don't know your business model. I don't know your interests, everything that you're like accomplishing. So it's very important to understand.
Exactly. So during this coffee break, we're going to chat about it. We're going to simplify the whole legal aspect of business, especially when implemented that within our e-commerce, website. Also, don't think of e-commerce as products necessarily. If you're selling services, if
as
you're
well.
just that yoga teacher who's starting to do something and wants to, launch a subscription or a session or whatever, or if you just started your e-learning company and you're just doing like courses and generating a bunch of content, this is the right event for you, right? So
Right.
let's get started with some questions. You will see it that we posted always like, please ask questions, because event is 100% live for a reason, right? It's nice
Yeah.
to talk to you, but it's nice to have interaction. So feel free just to drop any questions via comments. We're going to be jumping on everything, having allocating time for that at the end of the session. And also remember something important: all of our events have a free call attached to it. So basically, apart from having this event as a general information, if you have a specific case, if you're struggling with something only on your legal aspect of your company, please feel free to book Catalina. She's going to be there for an exploratory call on, you name it. If you have that contract that you're not sure about, or even if it's not about the e-commerce, but also like, I don't know, a contract for a business partner or a joint venture or a partnership, feel free to just talk to Catalina. And especially today, we're going to focus on e-commerce and online business, basically. So that's the point. Let's get started. So let's say I'm Maria, I'm new in the internet, I'm new with taking my business online, which is happening right now a lot in times of coronavirus. And that's why we, brought these topics and this specific agenda. What do I need to do when I start with my legal framework from scratch? What are the best practices? How should I approach it from day one?
Okay, so first you have to draft a document. That's very important. There's two documents very important. The one is terms and conditions. That's like the agreement that you're going to sign with your user, with the person that's going to buy your service or products online, or is the one that's like having all the information that you're giving them in the e-commerce. So you have to put how are they going to update the information, how they're going to pay, what are the instructions for payment, if they have a guarantees of the services or products they're buying, and if there's a refund, or what are you going to do with the information that they give you, that with their names, their phone, their email. So all these important two documents are the first step that you have to have. It's drafting these documents in a very clear language to know what are the conditions with your user, and you have to put them in a link in your website. So
Okay.
client or the user could click and know everything at the moment when he wants.
I will tell you now the tricky question. So what happens is that people copy paste this from somewhere online, or this friend that has a template thing. What do you think about that? Many people, especially starting entrepreneurs, they think this is not worth it to pay a lawyer to do it, or it's not affordable at the moment. So they just copy paste it from a website that they like, or from anywhere, just and replace their, just Google and replace their name for the company name. What are the risks when you do that? Why you shouldn't do that?
The thing is that the terms and conditions are done according to the business. So if you copy them, you're gonna have like rules of other business. So your
Mm-hmm.
user is gonna be like, what I'm buying? Why are I'm reading a terms of conditions of a service like Uber, and I'm selling, I don't know, t-shirts. So you have to be aware that the terms and conditions have to be very specific of your business. That are the conditions. If your user complaint for anything, those are the rules that you have to go in court and say, these are the rules. I gave them from the first minute. They were published in my website. So it's not that easy to copy paste. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly. It
recommended.
should fit the reality of your business and your business model. And as you best describe it, it's like the rules of the game. So you set the rules. You cannot play with other people's rules. Even when you take it from the same industry, it's your business. Yeah. Even
Yeah,
if you
and
go, like, I'm a bakery, so I'm going to take it from my friend the baker. It's not the same. Even if there are some things in common, it's not the same. So you don't copy paste your business. It's great to know. So here we go. Terms and conditions only for e-commerce or for any type of website. Do you need terms and conditions for anything?
for anything, even if you're selling or not, even if you are having a sales of products or just informative. Every time you have to have terms and conditions and privacy policy.
And even if you don't have your business online, so it applies to even if you're selling offline. Yeah.
The thing is that in Colombia for now, and I think in Europe as well, the government has been very specific that you have to have all the information available for any questions, for any claims. So even though you're not online, you have to have the information available, and you have to be very transparent. So that's why today, for privacy policy rules, you have to have a website, and you have to have minimum the information. So you have to have privacy policy and terms and conditions. The minimum privacy policy, that's like the minimum, because everything today is online. Every business is like marketing online. So you're going to have contact online. So that's why you have to have a website.
Okay,
I don't think now like in a business that doesn't use the website. I
I
don't know.
know. Sometimes you will be shocked because we did a lot of websites, and sometimes we would go to certain regions or places that are really rural, and people are still doing things old school, and for them it's
Yeah.
normal. Now with the corona crisis, they're like a boom,
Yeah.
everybody, like it or not, you need to do this big jump online, and it's normal. There's a digital transformation, so you need to understand how the digital world works. Even if you have an agency or you have a web developer, you need to understand the logic behind, and also what are the legal implications. So we have people right now, for example, that are asking, and I love that you guys asking. I love your questions. So we have here like saying like, yeah, I already have my e-commerce site. Where do I need to register myself? When you talk about registration, you're talking about company registration. That's via the Chamber of Commerce. But actually, if you just have an e-commerce with a domain, what we're giving now is the legal framework of what you have to follow. So it's not that you need to register, somewhere like to create those terms and conditions of privacy policy. You don't have to be registered. Your company has to be registered in the time that you say, yeah, this is my business. I'm going to do this not as a hobby or to just test it in the market, right?
Right. That's
I
it.
right
Yeah.
replying to this question. Sorry,
Yeah.
you replied to the question. So yeah, let's continue. Like, so you said like we have terms and conditions and we have privacy policy.
Policy.
Let's go a little bit more in depth in the structure of those documents. Yeah, what is a must have in your terms and conditions, and then we go through the same for privacy policy.
Okay, so in terms and conditions, it's the document that, as I said, it's the rules of the game, right? So let's say you're going to sell a product. So in those terms and conditions, you have to be very straightforward to the user. How is he buying? What are the guarantees? What is like the when the delivery conditions? When it's going to arrive? If it doesn't arrive, then can he write like, hey, I'm not the product hasn't arrived yet, or it arrived but it's not in good conditions. So everything, all those conditions or all this process of buying, it has to be very clear in the terms and conditions, and the user has to be very aware of the liability of him and the company in all this process. That's the terms
Okay.
and conditions. Also, there I recommend like the brand, that the conditions of your brand. Let's say I'm buying in Amazon, and in the terms and conditions of Amazon, they say don't use my brand for anything else but just when you buy. Like I cannot go in public and say I am the buyer of Amazon. I cannot use their brand without any authorization. So in terms and conditions, we put those conditions.
Really
Also,
important.
yes, and another thing very important is that now in this internet world that we are, there's a lot of hackers and there's a lot of persons that use your code in the back, like on the back of your platform. So in the terms and conditions, you also say you're not authorized to use backlinks or to use my code or to use my information. All these conditions of security information is there. There's where you put.
Great, really important insights, and I really like the notes that you mentioned on branding. Because when we start our companies and we're small entrepreneurs, we're not thinking about protecting our brands. We just think there's a new company, names, yeah, you can say whatever, TikTok tag, and the TikTok tag.com is the new thing. And then let's say it's really amazing and it's going great, and you never registered your brand. So it's really important that you think you do things right since the beginning, and that's the whole spirit about the expert pool. You don't need to wait to be this huge company to think about legal matters, to do things right since the beginning, from your website, from the everything that we have as
Correct.
implications there on legal matters, best practices. Please, we cannot say we didn't know. On legal framework, you don't have, I didn't know, so please excuse me, court, I will not pay the fine. No.
No, no, that's not an accused anywhere in the world. It's
Yeah,
not
I
an
know.
excuse.
And you have it because, of course, first you register as an individual who's doing business. So you're 100% legally, liable for this, lack of knowledge or these gaps that we have many times by just being in a rush or putting ourselves out there. I'm saying something wrong because maybe I was drinking a lot of coffee. But basically, if you put yourself out there, I'm saying it again. So if you decide to go out there as a business owner, do things right, and now we're talking about what is it to do it right. So we have legal framework for terms and conditions. That's a structure. Let's talk about privacy. Privacy, big deal, especially in Europe. So let's
Yes.
talk about difference between local and international requirements for like drafting that privacy policy.
Okay, so every country has its privacy policies, laws, and information and regulation. But last year, 2018, the European Parliament issued a law that's called GDPR. This law, what it refers is General Data Protection Regulation. And what it says is any country, in any company, in the world that uses information of European citizens or residents must comply with this GDPR. Even if I'm a Colombian company and my customers, my clients, my allies, my suppliers are from Europe, I have to have the General Data Protection Regulation in my privacy policy. What does
Wow.
that mean? It means that that regulation is going to give me the parameters and the criteria of how do I collect information, how do I use it, what is my authorization to contact these users with what information, when do
Yeah.
I give this information down, all these conditions.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's very important. Yeah.
So important. If you're targeting international clients, that is a must. So you
It's a
can
must.
cover everything that applies to them. And we have to say that GDPR so far is the most, high level strict law when it comes to privacy. So when you have
Yes.
that one, you're like, boom, you're safe. Yeah.
Yeah, you're safe. That's the thing. So we recommend that you see the GDPR. There's a lot of conditions in GDPR. Just start accomplishing them. I know that's very complex at the beginning, but our recommendation is do it. Look at it, see, and put it in your privacy policy.
What are some of those like highlights from the GDPR? Like you said, like this is a must, or this is something that is really important within the GDPR policy.
Okay, so we were talking about cookies. Cookies privacy is one of the lines. Also, you have to have like a information officer, someone that you assign in your company that's going to be aware when your user calls and says, I don't want to receive more information or why I'm receiving this information. So someone that's going to be responsible of all that data and how do you collect it. Also, the GDPR is very complete because it says what to put in your terms, legal terms, and also what are the policies and the practices that you have to put in your company. So you have to assign this person, where are you going to collect this information, if it's going to be in the website, then who's going to be like available for that information, like who could know the information,
Or access to
erase,
information as well.
erase
What if you have a
information.
lot of free, you normally as an entrepreneur when you start, you normally use a lot of free tools where all this data is stored. So for example, you have a mailing list on MailChimp and you have a CRM, free CRM like Hotspot. What happens then when your information is also within different free platforms that integrate into your website?
So you have to see the privacy policies of these free websites to see if they are having the authorization to get those data to also do marketing campaigns.
Wow.
So
Well, of
you have
course.
to be very aware because the GDPR what says is you have to promise me per European Parliament that you're doing the things right and that the information of your users are not linking out. They're well stored, they're respectable, you're not sending like information like crazy, because that's the thing. Data today is gold. Data
Yeah.
today is have to be very protective.
Yeah, okay, that's really, really important. And we really mention a little bit about the cookies. First of all, what is a cookie? People say, my mother is always like, what is a cookie? Where do I eat it? What is happening? Is there a virtual cookie? Is that a game? So you see it in every website, like, oh, agree to to our cookie
Yeah.
policy, which is linked right now. You're telling me that cookie policy is linked to your privacy policy. What is a cookie? What is a cookie
Okay.
policy? Yeah.
So a cookie is like a way of tracking what your user is doing in your website. So
Uh-huh.
for the owner of the website is information, because you're going to see the user, where does it do click, what is reading, what it taking his time to read, to see the video. So when that information is going to help you for your marketing. So when you say cookie policy, is you're saying the user, I'm going to see what you're doing in my website, and with that information I'm going to conclude and do things. Do you accept that I do that? That's
So I'm
cookie
tracking your
policy.
behavior. That's it.
Tracking your behavior. That's the
Okay.
thing.
And that's something that we normally do also when we do campaigns on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
When we do these integrations, we're just checking what is the flow from Facebook to your website. Where do you
Flow.
click? The whole thing. Also, when you use heat maps to check what is the behavior on your website. So when you say yes, I'm going to allow you to do that, it's like yes, I'm going to give you data on my behavior so you can see hopefully how to best serve me.
Yes, that's
That's the
good.
whole intention. It's good, guys. It's good,
Yeah.
but sometimes people kind of use this and do things that are not right. But it's
That's
tracking data in a way that we can predict or we can check how our users behave, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that when you get in a website, like the first thing that pops up is like policy, cookies policy. Do you accept? So everyone's like frightened, like, oh my God, I'm gonna say no because I don't know what's gonna happen. No, it's gonna explode. But no, it's just
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It sounds really serious. Like, do you accept cookie? Oh my god. So there's some people that they are like, scroll down, do you accept? Yes. And some people are like, no, no, just in case. Just in case, no. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. In Colombia, it's not a rule to put that cookie policy yet,
Yeah.
but I think everyone's doing it because we want to like accomplish the high level, the
Yeah,
GDPR.
in Europe, it is a requirement, yes or yes. Let's talk a little bit about the opt-in, opt-out. Yeah, when you have an email list and people subscribe to read your news, or where you have this check, when you buy something and you're in the checkout page, I want to receive news or whatever. In Europe, to have that check already checked, that you need to
Mhm.
uncheck it, is not allowed. You need to have an intentional you know thought where you say, I want to receive news from the expert pool by 7 days to go. So it's not like by default, by the way, I'm also opting in into a mailing list.
Yeah.
So
So that was a big change because what happened with the GDPR is that when your user says click, I accept the terms and conditions, it's going to pop up the terms and conditions because the law says you have to like make that your user reads them and he has to scroll. That's
yeah,
another I don't
yeah,
know if you have seen it. Like
you
you
see
have
it
to
in a lot of
scroll
websites. You cannot accept if you don't scroll down all over.
down and it's accept. So you as a company, you have to track it. So if you have maybe a complaint, you have to show the court and the law that he scrolled down and he accept
All
and
the
he was
way.
aware that
Yeah,
those are the
and
terms
still
and
it
conditions.
happens that people don't read them. They scroll like boom, just it's like a no-brainer. You shouldn't do that. But also in a realistic perspective, I'm thinking if it's a really long document and you go through how many websites per day, is it realistic to expect that you read all the terms and conditions that a website has? Normally, users don't do that, but it's advisable, especially if you're a customer. If
Yes, but
you're
you
buying
know
something, you
something?
should check it out. Huh?
Of course, but you know something? Everything depends. Like if you're gonna buy, I don't know, a t-shirt, the risk is not that big. But if you're gonna go and someone's gonna pick you up, let's say in Uber, and you don't see the terms and conditions, and I don't know, we don't want that to happen. But if you're robbed or an accident or something, you don't know who is responsible of what, and you have to
Yeah.
go to the hospital. And if you didn't read the terms and conditions, maybe you are the responsible for the life of the driver as well, and
Oh
you
my
don't
God.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's very important. That's why today I think that, yeah, we could scroll in the terms and conditions of many web pages that we see, but in the important ones, the ones that you know that you have risk, or if you're the business owner, be very aware to have everything very clear, because then I don't want you to call me. And you're gonna
I
have
want
problems.
people to call you, but for positive things, for
Yeah,
preventive matters, not like
yeah.
it's too late, I'm in the hospital. This is not the call we want to receive. So
No.
let's focus on how to prevent getting there, that it goes wrong, goes downhill. So what
Yeah.
we want is that we think about these things in advance, that we know what we need to take into account, instead of facing like potential, people giving
Yeah.
you fines, or going to court, especially when you're an international entrepreneur living in another country like I am. I live in the Netherlands for 9 years, and then you have this call, you have to go to court. I'm like, why? And then everything is about the Dutch law, and everything is in Dutch many, many, many times, and then you don't know what are your rights, or you don't know. So then you can end up paying like price plus the stress, the time to go to court, or to face fines, just because you didn't know since the beginning,
Yeah.
or were not aware
Yeah.
of the local laws, or in this case, everything that applies to online business, right?
Right. Right.
Guys, this is not a coffee break. I hope that you're not stressed.
No.
This is not like, oh my God, let's create some terrorism. No, we want to
No.
mess up with your minds. We want to tell you, hey, let's do things right since the beginning. And
Yeah.
these are the things that you need to take into account. So, chin chin. Your coffee's getting cold, Catalina.
Yes, I know.
You're like, la la, talking, talking. So, let's go a little bit more into the tips and hacks part for proper management of your data, especially when you do marketing. You showcase this example. This is great because, of course, we have a business. We need to promote our business, and we do that through social media, emails, WhatsApp, whatever. So when we are doing marketing campaigns and we're using like Facebook platforms or whatever, what are the things apart from the having the privacy policy, because it's actually a requirement. You cannot do a campaign on Facebook if you don't have a privacy policy linked to your Facebook advertising account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So apart from that, because we use a lot of content from other people, like photos or videos that you use, what are your recommendations when it comes to content use and to best practices on advertisement, to bring people to your
Yeah.
website?
So if with content use the pictures, the videos that are royalty free with Creative Commons, or if you're gonna have someone of another author, you have to put their information, like this picture is by Catalina, by Maria, by Juliana, and it has to be Creative Commons. That means that I authorize freely for you to use in a commercial, like in commercial use for money, like for profit or non-profit. The
Okay.
Creative Commons is a very good tool for business owners today to use pictures and videos and everything
So just
for
Google Creative Commons, and also royalty free
free.
photos. Yeah, always
Yeah,
royalty free photos or
yeah,
videos, or you name it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Copyrights is very important, and more now that we are all seeing content every day, and we have to respect those authors because it's their material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think it's really important to do that, to respect the third parties. What if you are creating content like we are with other people? So we have a course, let's say not a webinar, because this or like these coffee breaks is just for us to share content and help yeah, entrepreneurs. But what if your core business is, I'm going to do online courses on this or that. I'm going to ask all these people to create content for me. How should you proceed when it comes to their rights?
Yeah. So the first thing that you have to do in the agreement, let's say we're going to do a course of the legal topics. So I have to sign an agreement with 7 days to go and tell them that I give them the rights of the information I'm giving you. So you could use those videos and those information in your website for like authorized by me, even though
Okay.
they were going to get profit about it. But you have to have all the authorization by me and by written, very important, in an agreement, because then I could go and say Maria is getting my information, she wasn't allowed, and she's getting profit about it. So that's a big claim, and that's a
Yeah,
big
and
suit.
I'm getting rich and you're not getting rich, and how we need to make business together. It's a win-win situation, and that relationship has to be transparent, 100%
Yes,
in written. It's not
yes,
like, hey, Catalina, we're good friends, so Boom. No.
No, very important, by written and everything straightforward since the beginning. I have a lot of people that tell me, no, I'm not going to tell her because then she gets like furious or whatever. No, it's very important that she gets furious in the beginning,
Trust
not in
me,
the end.
you would get
Yeah.
even more furious in the end when you see that they're using all your material all over. Even in
Yeah.
Europe, even when you take this group photo after the event, people need to say it in the event.
Yes.
Hey, if you don't want to appear, if you don't want to be in this photo, please, you know. So
Yes.
this is getting more and more strict, even showing your
Very
face, not
strict.
even if you create
Yeah.
content, guys. So
Yeah.
our time is up. Oh, oh my God. It was like flying like half an hour. So that's why I say I know it's a big topic. And that's why we said, Catalina, let's do this free one-on-one call, half an hour on you name it. We cover a lot of different topics here. Take advantage of this, like you have this book, a free call with Catalina. Yeah, so just make sure that you book her now. So you can talk more in depth about any of the things we have covered. Okay, guys? Catalina, thank you for
Okay.
your time.
No,
As
thank
always.
you. It was wonderful. It was so fast. I
Yeah,
didn't feel it.
those were really, really fast. That's the purpose of this space, just to trigger, to invite you, to help you out with quick tips and insights on the different topics that we have. And of course, we're going to be, if there's a big demand for this, so I'm asking you guys now, if you need this on a webinar or a longer format, please let us know. We're here to listen and to make content that is relevant for you right now, especially in these times of going online and going for online, like going for online business. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's everything, Catalina.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you, everybody. And what else? I invite you for tomorrow. We host our webinars, workshops, all the longer formats for 1 hour. We always have events 1 hour long on Thursdays. And tomorrow is going to be about visual storytelling, how to translate what you do with graphics, in a way that is simple. All those people looking for infographics and everything, just check it out. Tomorrow we have an expert demo. So our expert is going to show you how it's done. There's a nice thing that
Wow.
is really playful. It's about how to make your team read less text, just communicate visually. We need to go back to basics. People
Yeah.
think that this is only for kids. This is not for kids. We need to integrate playfulness and simple communication, visual storytelling within our companies. So tomorrow, come learn and draw. I hope that you're coming with your drawing tools. Yeah. And
Okay.
yeah, see you soon.
See
Everybody's
you.
invited. Really
Bye.
nice. Chin chin, everybody.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks.